there was another. Okay, we're here with April Silverman today. April came to me a couple months ago. She had a couple of digestive issues, and we went ahead and cleared those up fairly neatly. So if you could go ahead and describe the process for us a little bit, April, like what you were feeling before, what we ended up going through, and then how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, so I think probably the main thing that was happening when I first came in contact with you with the digestive things was that my diet was so limited, right? Because most of the foods that I ate, I kind of couldn't eat. So I'm talking about basic foods like fruits, starchy vegetables, starches in general, that my system just didn't seem to be able to tolerate. And when I say tolerate, I mean feeling tired afterwards, feeling like a sense of just feeling unwell after eating them. So my diet felt pretty restricted because I just couldn't really eat them. Um, and that's what even, overall having a very clean diet and lifestyle, there was just still many foods that I didn't seem to be able to tolerate well, which left me feeling um, like I was missing something nutrient wise, which I think I mentioned to you early
Yeah,
on, that I
sure.
could feel that something was off. I could feel that my body, was lacking something, but I couldn't seem to maybe get these foods in the right balance in my diet without feeling unwell.
Right,
And
right.
so, with the help of you, you were able to take me really through some baby steps with uh, rebuilding the gut to where it should have been, to where I don't think it's ever been because of the celiacs and things prior to that, that kind of seemed to maybe mess me up. So we did the commensal bacteria push. We started with some very, very basic things because my system was pretty delicate. And
Mm-hmm.
with that, I could start to feel changes. I know there were some things early on where I said, nope, not going to be able to do it. Not going to be able
Mm-hmm.
to eat it. Not going to be able to tolerate it. And sure enough, I'm doing a heck of a lot better.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, tremendously.
when we put the building blocks in place, when we start from the foundation of what the body needs and build from there, we can actually be not, pretty human. And for not being able to digest fruits or starchy vegetables, like nobody would ever think that that would be a problem, right? Like, how can you
Yeah.
not digest a fruit? But that's how broken things were. And uh, just for I guess to delve a little bit deeper, I spoke to you, I spoke to your brother, and both of you guys said no. We were born via C-section, and there are a lot of other people out there that obviously have been born in that manner. And when we don't go through the vaginal canal as babies, we miss a lot of that good bacteria that's donated from the mother to us. Okay, and then these are the problems that end up being created when we don't replace that. And doctors or the westernized medical system will label things like celiac disease or lupus. And when you study those on the internet, you kind of go either in a circle. It's like, going down a rabbit hole and you have no idea where it's going to lead to next. And you can spend literally thousands, if not millions of dollars chasing your tail trying to figure this thing out, where all it comes down to is just restoring those commensal gut bacteria like you spoke about.
Yeah.
So you said before fatigue, things like that. You had body aches too, correct? I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah. So along with that, so yeah, just to back up, so I was a C-section baby. I was not breastfed, so didn't get any of those helpful bacterias
Yep.
coming into the world. On top of that, so as time went on, so apparently I developed celiac. Then now years later, a few years ago, going back, was diagnosed with lupus. So, definitely believe that those two things go hand in hand. But so what kind of happens is food seems to trigger an autoimmune response
Right.
and has gotten worse and worse over time. Now, uh, and impacted me being able to exercise, impacted me, like I said, being able to eat many different foods that would kind of cause these different flare-ups happening, digestive issues, bloating, that didn't even seem to resolve even after going on a gluten-free diet.
Sure, sure. So we take the gluten away and it's like, hey, wait a minute, I'm not feeling better. Like, oh, what's going on? Right. And that's because it comes down to just reinstituting the bacteria the body needs to digest the gluten.
That's right. So now, like I said before, that we've been on this path with restoring my gut, I am able to incorporate many more foods than I have before. And I just mean basic starches, basic gluten-free starches that I couldn't really tolerate, like potatoes. That's something that I
Right.
couldn't, my system couldn't tolerate. I mean, it causes migraines, it causes fibromyalgia type of pain, not just potatoes, but foods in general that seem to have an inflammatory response in my system that causes these autoimmune type symptoms. Eating too many fruits, or eating these foods um, not balanced throughout the day can cause any of these symptoms in me. You were able to really take my situation holistically and come up with recommendations that fit my specific needs.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
looking back on where we started and where you are now, percentage wise, how would you say your energy has improved or your life has improved? 10%, 30%, 80%? Just go ahead and give us a marker.
Honestly, I would say about 85, 90%. I would go up to say that high. And I
Cool.
say that because I can do things that I could not do before.
Yeah.
I could not do before. I could not eat fruit for breakfast in the morning. Chris, I didn't tell you this, but over the weekend, I was able to eat a bowl of oatmeal
Okay.
with some berries in there, some hemp seeds, uh, nothing else, just some basic low glycemic fruits and my oatmeal. I have
Yeah.
not been able to eat a bowl of oatmeal in probably a few years
Wow.
because even gluten, I know even gluten-free oatmeal caused some kind of issue within my system where I just couldn't tolerate it. Don't know
Right.
why, but I just want to let you know that I have been able to eat it. I've eaten it a few times now and I feel great afterward. And
That's amazing.
that to me is a huge step. I know it seems like something small and minuscule, but it's not. It's a very big deal for me. The other huge thing for me is I'm back in the gym. So
Yeah.
since I got diagnosed with the lupus, I have not been able to get in the gym and do a workout that involved anything weight bearing. Because what happens is that it causes fibromyalgia type pain in my system, deep muscular pain, fatigue, things like that. So can't lift any weights. But like I've told you this before, I've been able to get back in and actually lift weights now, and I'm not having those symptoms anymore. And for me, that's life changing because it's so
Sure.
important to stay active, to be able to eat the foods that are going to um, replenish my body properly and heal me properly and have them, but they have to digest properly first in order
Right.
to do that.
Right. You can't
So
go
as you can,
smash you can't go smash the weights and then have some gluten-free oatmeal, you know?
well, I can now.
Yeah. So real quick, just so anybody who's watching this really understands, whenever we're looking at gluten-free products, if they're going to take something out, you have to put something back in. And we never really know what that's going to be. So you're almost as old as I am. You're 39
Yeah.
and I'm 43. So we grew up kind of in the same era. In the late 80s to early 90s, I mean, everything, the craze was fat free. I remember coming down to Florida with my friend for spring break. And we went to the store and he found fat free cheese. And we tried to make grilled cheese sandwiches with him. And the
It
fat
did
free
melt.
cheese didn't melt. And we're sitting there like the bread got all burnt and everything like that. And that's kind of like a sign to where, like, is this really edible? Like, should I be
Yeah.
putting this in my body? Fat-free cheese. Well, let me think about this for a second. And when we are now looking at a lot of people having the same gluten intolerances, that companies are then forced to say, okay, we'll accommodate you. We'll create another concoction, and it's called gluten-free.
Yeah.
But you eat it and your body's like, what the heck is this still?
Yeah. My
Right?
body didn't like that stuff either.
Yeah, it kind of puts a damper on things. And I've known several other people who are like that, where they have the same issues. They're not really looking for help, so they don't want to listen to me, but they do the gluten-free stuff and they still pay for it the next day. And they're just like, I don't understand. And I keep telling them, whenever you're ready to start, I'm here to help. So it's fantastic that things worked out the way they did with you, and you have a better understanding of what's mechanistically true in the human body, rather than going on prescription medications or doing an exclusionary diet where everybody else, your kids, your boyfriend, they're sitting around eating this really fantastic meal, and you're over there with a piece of cardboard, like, I don't want to feel like crap tomorrow, so this is what I'm eating.
Yeah. And when you say, like you mentioned, the fact that the doctor is just handing out prescriptions, that's exactly the options that were presented to me. For your celiac condition, it is to go on a gluten-free diet, but it doesn't
Sure.
really, GI doctor doesn't necessarily understand, surprisingly, the impact that you're having in your gut, because on the outside you look fine and your test results are coming back normal. So when you're talking about these symptoms, they're saying, well, you have IBS. IBS is a symptom of something else happening in your body.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and they're not really deep diving literally deep into the gut, right, to see exactly what's going on. And for the lupus,
Hmm.
the best they could tell me was, well, your symptoms aren't bad enough for this. And even if they were, really, the only thing we can give you is a steroid to minimize
Hmm.
those symptoms. And that's the only thing, so, and to me, I'm saying, well, uh, what's the cause of the lupus? What's going on in my body that's causing my body to have these issues? Well, they can't give you any answers to that because there are no answers to
Right.
that. They're just these uh, blind symptoms, if you will, that you're expressing that you have, but they're not really being recognized, or there's no answer for them.
Right.
It'd be very frustrating for somebody with an autoimmune issue, to go through life this way and
Sure.
having to figure it out yourself. And I really did hit a wall, until I started working with you, and things have improved.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's this, I don't know, I guess, correlation I try to help people understand between biology and chemistry. And while some may think that they're inherently the same, they're completely different, especially when we're talking about the human body. Now, the human body will go through, I think it's something like 100 million chemical reactions a second. Okay. But really, the biological reactions are far, far greater, because our bacteria that we have in the stomach, small intestine, and large intestine vastly outnumber the amount of cells that we even have in our own body. So when you're trying to take a biological condition, right, like a loss of bacteria, and correct it chemically, either through prescription medication or steroids, there's not a really grand correlation between the two. When you step back and you get kind of like the 30,000-foot view, anybody who I would say maybe even just has a high school education would say that doesn't sound like it would work. But when you're taking bacteria, when you're building bacteria to fix a bacterial condition, of which, if you have an autoimmune disease, 80% of our immune system resides in our gut, ready to attack any foreign agents that go through the gut lumen into circulation or into the serum. Okay, so to just get prescription medication to try to apply chemistry to a biological issue, that just shows for me the great disconnect between what we think we know and what actually is mechanistically true in the human body. Um,
yeah.
yeah. Any thoughts on that?
I think that that's absolutely correct. And it reminds me of, let's say somebody who's suffering from really bad headaches or migraines, and, you're given this prescription migraine medicine, or you're taking Advil every single day for your headache. But really, what's the trigger that's causing that? So you can
Right.
continue to put a Band-Aid on something to help the symptom, but there truly is in many, and obviously I'm no expert, but it seems to me that there are underlying issues for many of these things that
Hmm.
that our bodies are going through. There's a reason for it. That's something is happening, something sort of malfunctioning in your system to cause that. And hopefully you're able to connect with people who will be able to look at you holistically and figure out what that underlying reason is. Kind of like when I see you for the muscle work
Hmm.
also. Sure, my knee hurts, but what's malfunctioning in my leg that's causing my knee to hurt? Well, I mean, we can, I don't know, put some warm compresses on it, but where else can we fix it in the body that's gonna fix the problem?
Right. Right. The
So like the gut is the is the brain really of the body that's uh, uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
going.
It is the primary defense mechanism of the human body. And when we don't have the proper bacteria in the gut, okay, to tell our immune system, these are the good guys, it's defensive with everything. And that's where you get your autoimmune diseases coming from.
Yeah.
Because the immune system literally starts attacking everything,
Yeah.
everything. And it's like, I just had an apple, for Christ's sake. Like, why is my body like revolting against me? Right. And
And and that
it's,
and that has happened where
yeah.
I'm like, the apple should make me feel good. It's
Yeah.
right. It's low glycemic. It's water. It's fiber. My body should like this,
Hmm.
but it doesn't. Why did it just give me a headache
Yeah.
instead of
Vitamins, minerals.
but you know what? I ate an apple today, and I'm not making this up, at 4 o'clock this afternoon as my snack. Typically, I have to pair that with protein, which I know I mentioned to you in the past. Anyways, I had that apple and I felt great afterwards. I didn't need any protein to balance it out.
Right.
Typically, I need this very careful balance of fat, protein, and natural sugars in order for me to absorb it properly. But I can actually eat the fruit now as a snack in itself, and I feel good afterwards, and that is huge progress.
Yeah.
That
That's
that that
awesome.
it's huge.
April,
Yeah.
do you have
So
anything else to add? Anything, if there's somebody else like you that's watching this video, what kind of words of wisdom do you have for them?
I would say that you're not crazy, and your symptoms absolutely are real, and there's something to pay attention to, and to make sure that you get with somebody who can truly treat you holistically and treat you on the level that you need to be treated. I have spent many years with health being my focus, between nutrition and supplements, and for the most part took very what I thought was good gut health care for myself, taking different supplements, probiotics. But it honestly was not, Chris, until I started working with you, to where you were able to recommend something different, out of the box, supplements that I had not even heard of before. And I usually spend a lot of time researching products and supplements and herbs and things like that, but these are things that you presented to me that I had not been familiar with, that my system took very well to. So what I would say is, to just make sure that you're working with somebody who gets your system and who can make recommendations that fit your needs.
Great.
Uh,
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you being on tonight. I know it's late. You had a long day. I had a long day, but really, thank you very much for coming on and being a testament to what we can do, for what I can do for other people that are in need. All right. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for not having a one size fits all approach,
Oh yeah,
and really
absolutely.
custom tailoring your recommendations and your routines for somebody like myself, for somebody that it matters. And even when we have setbacks, you're like, okay, this is kind of sometimes we're heading down this path. and we got to kind of go off to the side this way because now, because my body's so wonky, it's having this issue now that we
Right.
may side out and then, tackle this first. So, I know there's more things that we can deep dive into when it comes to my issues, but you've been an incredible help, and I truly am thankful for the research and the dedication and the passion that you have
My
with your.
pleasure. My pleasure. It doesn't matter if it's for weight loss, gut restoration, or if I'm trying to help, I guess, remove pain from the human body. Everybody has setbacks. If it's bad enough, and obviously your condition was, you're never going to heal in an ascending line. There's going to come a point where the body's going to revolt, and then the universe is going to ask you if you really want this enough, where we kind of like took a step backwards, or maybe even two-step backwards. And it's also a challenge for me. Like, do I really know what I'm doing, or am I just putting a cookie cutter program and I don't know why it's not working the way it's supposed to right now? And, I don't know where to go or what to change. So I've, for the last 17, 18 years, been doing this, and I've ran into more roadblocks, but always had the opportunity to go out and find the answer. So when those things happen, it's part of the ride. And I know it sucks, but you really just got to learn to enjoy it, or,
Yeah.
laugh to stop from crying, I guess you could say.
But I think that's what sets you apart is your passion for this kind of stuff and your honesty with
Absolutely.
it. There've been things, not many things, but where I've, kind of mentioned something to you and you said, you know what? Let me research that. I'm not really sure. And I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that you're not guessing. You're not just trying to sell me on something. You're saying, you know what, I need to do a little bit more research on this. Um, and I think that goes to you really being passionate about your clients and wanting to help them, is wanting to find the best possible program for them, if you will.
If I knew everything, I'd be
So,
retired. That's the way that I
yeah,
look
right.
at it. If I knew everything in the world that there is to know about health and wellness, I'd probably have 30 or 40 books written, and just a big old bankroll or something like that. So every single client that I have, I see it as an opportunity for me to learn too. And that's why I love challenges like this, because you're gonna either have stuff happen to you, or you're gonna feel or think something that I wouldn't, because I've never been through this. I've never had that issue. I did have issues with having to restore some aspects of my gut bacteria, but never anything like that.
Yeah. And
So
everybody's situation is so unique to their specific body, um, that it is important to have that fully holistic understanding of what's happening with them so you can make those appropriate recommendations like you did for me.
yeah, awesome. Well, I thank you again, April.
Anytime.
Thanks for being on.